Hey everyone, welcome to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast, the ultimate blueprint to self-love and inner peace. I'm your host, Danielle Van. As a cognitive behavioral therapist, life coach to women, meditation teacher, and author, I've spent my life studying and learning from the stories that make us human. It's my passion and goal to help you shift your mindset and create a lifelong revolution to help you reach your greatest potential. As 2023 begins to wind down, we are turning our intentionality, our focus, our desire to what is next. That's a very natural step. Yet in every new chapter, there is something that must come to a close or be grown upon as a foundation to take you to the next experience, the next level of where you want to be. In doing so, there are often a few hard pills that you must swallow to get to that place. While growth is not the most comfortable thing we do, it is one of the most powerful. So today, you and I are taking a one-on-one deep dive into those hard pills and what to do about them so that you can build a life of accountability, self-authority, refusing to abandon your needs and desires, and find a place and a space of stability that you just simply haven't had a chance to touch just yet. So let's dive right in. The Get Your Life Together Girl podcast starts right now. We are at the cusp of everything, closing down, changing. And I've been talking about this for the last few weeks, where we are in a space of moving toward what we want, letting go of what has been, closing the chapter of this year. I know for me personally, there's been a lot of ups and downs. It's been one of those years that I'm kind of glad we're coming to an end of, but yet at the same time, there's so much to be grateful for. And in all of it, I can look at it and say, you know what? I lived my life according to me. And I hope that you can say the same. You know, I didn't say, I hope that you lived your best life this year. When we talk about positivity, we often tend to only want to focus on the good. And in some places, that's okay, right? But we also have to be very real. And we have to make sure that we are looking at our reality as much as our intentionality. You know, honestly, I don't care if you lived your best life. What I hope for you is that you lived your freest life. I hope that you did not spend this last year abandoning yourself. I hope that you lived a light life. You know, I hope that this past year has shown you where you can patch these pieces, these lessons, these trials and joys, mistakes, growth, evolution, expansion, disappointments, rejections, failures, wins, victories, small and big, anything that makes you feel beautiful in the safety of your life. That's what I hope you experienced, because that is the best life. It's not this blanket, unrestricted, no problems, no issues kind of life. That's not your best life. We don't learn when everything is status quo. So I hope you were able to live this past year in a way that it was based on your desires, your needs, according to you. In this, I want to talk about the things that get in the way of living that, these hard pills to swallow that we have to point out, that we have to let go of in order to have self-authority, self-esteem, self-confidence, to be able to have self-safety in our lives. Because the persons that we tend to be instead of the person we are never really feels aligned. It doesn't feel successful. It doesn't feel like we can clap for ourselves, and certainly self-love and self-peace are thrown out the door. And it's important that we understand that everything we do impacts us in some way or another. And that means everything that we don't do as well. So let's talk about hard pills to swallow. They're truths in our lives that we can really process, move through, and find a new path forward. Again, the purpose is that we are looking towards 2024. What do we want? What do we want to create? How do we want to feel? How do we want to get there, right? And if we swallow these hard pills, realign with some new truths, we have a space where we have let go of a lot of emotional and mental inner clutter and gave ourselves space to not be thrown by the obstacles that come into our awareness, into our thoughts, into our emotions, not be exhausted by our big dreams, and instead be willing to experience life in its fullest capacity because we are not trying to choke back the bullshit that doesn't work, right? So let's get to it. Here's some hard pills, some truths that every one of us has to swallow in our growth plan, in our getting ourselves together. Pill 1 is something that all of us know, but rarely really put much thought into. So I hope that you will. Babe, not everyone's going to like you. I know that really is a hard pill to swallow. We're wired for connection. We all want to be liked. However, not everyone is going to love who you are. And that's okay. Not everyone should love who you are. Not everyone has earned their right to be a part of your life, and vice versa. And if you're not living as your truest self, that bleeds through. And people lose respect, or they refuse to lean in the way that you want them to. And we have to remember that there's not a single one of us that shows up in the world as perfection. It doesn't exist. So remember, not everyone's going to clap for your success, even the people you think should. Not everyone is going to show up the way that you want them to. Not everyone's going to focus on caring for you. Not everyone is going to give what you give, right? And so it's important that you don't live your life in a space where you hand over your authenticity and your authority, your self-esteem, your confidence in order to be liked. It's okay to swallow the bitter pill of being alone in the crowd sometimes, because not everyone will like you. And it's a waste of time to continue to try. That's pill number 1. I know that it's hard to deal with, but it is the truth. It's okay to be a man on an island until you find your right person or your people, okay? Do that. It's much better than trying to be something that you're not in order to be liked. That goes to pill number 2. It's important to stop begging in your life. This is a hard pill to swallow, right? Because a lot of times when we want something, when we need something, or at least we think we do, we tend to beg, right? We beg the world, the friendships, the inner emotional aspects, our spirituality, everything, in hopes that we get some kind of feeling or return. And we have to stop begging, because every time that we do, we lose respect. So it is time to stop begging for your worth. It's time to stop begging people to really focus in. It's better to have an empty space in your life for the unknown, for the magic, for the surprises, for the unexpected, than to hold on to something that isn't fulfilling you at all. One of my biggest life lessons, and probably one of the hardest pills I've ever had to swallow, is the fact that sometimes the answer to your prayer is loss. Weird, right? It's strange. Sometimes we have to lose everything we're fighting so hard to keep, painstakingly trying to keep, in order to get where we belong. It's so important. Understand that. We cannot diminish ourselves to hold on to things that do not work for us. Sometimes the answer to your prayer is to lose. So think about that. That's pill number 2. Pill number 3. Now, I hope you're sitting down for this one because it's a doozy. But here it goes. It is absolutely your responsibility and your fault if you continually get hurt by the feelings that you're holding on to. If you refuse to lean in and do the hard work, it is your fault that you feel the way that you do. No one makes you feel anything. It is your connection to a moment. So if you continue to be around someone who time and time again shows you that they're not good for you, and you continue to hold on, guess whose fault that is? It's not theirs. They're responsible for their behavior, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying if you continue to engage in what you know is not working, that is you working against you. The hardest pill to swallow is sometimes you have to let go. period. Life is too short to continually have to pick yourself back up and cope with things that people a long time ago showed you that they were unwilling to change or they were unwilling to do for you. One of the biggest things that you can realize as you move into a new year, a new space, is sometimes you have to do shit for yourself because there's other people who aren't willing to help you back up. That is a hard pill to swallow, but it's one that you can't keep getting caught in your throat if you want to move forward. The next one is a truth that a lot of us know, and yet we still refuse to lean into and fully own it. And it is that comfortable is generally the most uncomfortable. And if you're willing to lean in and do the hard things, life begins to show you what hard work and tenacity and accountability and confidence and real self-love looks like. It's doing yourself a favor and being willing to step out of the box and push yourself, to seek growth, to learn, to try, to reach, to be in the constant space of making a decision for you in self-respect, in your talents, and accepting who you are right now, right here, regardless if that's where you want to end your life, being fully developed as. There's always a space to be able to have a little bit more vibrancy, to have a little bit more. But it means that you have to be willing to step out of the comfort of comfort. Being really comfortable is often the killer of excitement, of joy, of this space where you are really leaning into growth. It's a hard pill to swallow that comfortable is actually not the place that you should be living every single day. If you want the best, you have to be self-accountable. If you want the best, you can't continue to settle. You have to upgrade instead of downgrade. If you want the best, you have to know that you are the driver of that and you have to push yourself. It's a hard pill. No one's coming in with the red flag to rescue you. It's not happening. You are going to have to step up and make your life what you want it to be. You're capable, but you literally have to do it. The next one, the next pill to swallow, is your mindset. If you want a positive life, if you want a life of growth, you must get out of the negative spin cycle. This is a hard pill because a lot of times we do not want to admit that we are the problem, right? What's the Taylor Swift song? Right? We don't want to. We do not want to think that we add to our own downfall. And guess what we do? When you wake up in the morning and you think, I cannot adult today, guess what? That's a negative. If you wake up and say, I don't want to do this today, negative. Everything starts with a thought first. And then it's going to move you into a feeling and then into action. So I can't is going to be absolutely the truth. Henry Ford wrote that wonderful saying that so many of us know, if I think I can, I can. If I think I can't, I can't. It's something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But think about that. It's so true. You're the only one who is qualified enough to decide how you're going to show up. If you continue to absolutely drive negatives into your life, your mindset will always remain in a hard space. So this is the big pill to swallow. Get out of your own damn way. Seriously, stop. Every time the negative thought comes up, decide to meet it with something else. Is this the truth? Is this really what I want to feel? Is this how I want to spend the rest of my day? Because this action or lack thereof will be the determiner of how the next 5 hours go, and then even the next 24 hours, and maybe even 24 hours after that. Is this really how I want to show up? You, my dear, could be the problem, right? Therein lies the pill. Maybe you are the problem. It's time to actually get up and do something for you, which leads us to the next pill. Instant gratification is killing your drive, your focus, your dreams, and most certainly your dopamine, okay? This need for everything to happen at the snap of your fingers, to have the thought and manifest in physical form in 5 seconds, is killing the joy. Your dopamine levels are zero because there's nothing to hold on to. You are not looking for instant gratification in your life. You're looking for positive forward motion. Things take time. It often takes more time than we're even willing to think about a lot of times. So every time you try to fast forward, you are really getting in your own way. Get out of your own way. Get out of this space where you're diminishing your results because you want them right now. Instant gratification does not give you long-term satisfaction. Let me say that again. Instant gratification does not give you long-term satisfaction. Stop getting in your own way because you need something right now. Instead, let go. Give yourself permission to be in the magic of the ever-evolving things in your life. It is a journey, not a one-hop step from the beginning of the line to the end. Allow your path to be what it needs to be to get where you are. Take the twists and turns. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Be willing to take control where you can and let your focus be on a result that is whatever it needs to be. Be willing. Be so willing to slow down a little bit. In that slowdown, you have to realize that the next pill is a big one, and it is doing things when you're scared. If you do not do the things that scare you the most, you are really backing yourself into a corner and wondering why life never works out for you, right? The move you are most scared to make is generally the one that changes everything for you. When you're willing to say, okay, I will trust, I will move forward even though I do not know what this path looks like, is when the doors open, the things that you've been asking for suddenly fall into place, and perspective becomes a true player in your life. You have to do things scared sometimes. You have to show up. If you choose to sit on the sidelines of your life, you choose to really sit in that discomfort that I'm telling you you have to get out of. And in that, it leads me into the next space of the next pill. If you're willing to spend 8 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours a day working on someone else's dream, you sure as hell can spend a little bit of time working on your own. Listen, if it's not yours, is it really yours? Seriously, think about that. That's a very simple statement. But if it's not yours, is it really yours? If you put all of this work and intentionality into building someone else's life, will they do the same for you? Generally, the answer is no. So if you have a dream and a spark and you're just scared, do it anyway. Do it anyway. Do it slow. Don't try to get that instant gratification. Don't kill your dream. But instead, what can I do that is very small and substantial each and every day that allows me to move forward? How can I push the limits? How can I decide to do what works for me? Because there's another pill that's even bigger. And it's this. There's someone out there living the life that you want that is far less qualified to be living that life, right? They don't have all the skill set, but because they simply took action, they are where you want to be. So if you're holding yourself in a corner, that's on you. Seriously, it's on you. Do you want something different? If you do, how are you going to get there? If you continue to complain about your life, guess what? You're not showing up. That is a hard pill. The most unburdened life means that it's a life that you're willing to fail. It's a life that is knowing of disappointment, of rejection. It's knowing to try. It's putting yourself out there. It's living. Think about the definition of living. It's the pursuit of a lifestyle or a specific end. The pursuit. What does pursuit mean? It's the forward motion. It's actively moving. It's a way of life. It's a behavior. It's an activity. You don't always have to struggle to get what you want. Instead, you could actually mindfully get there. What's one action that you need to take today in order to make changes? Those are all big questions, but questions that absolutely have to be asked. So let's move through a few other quick pills without going into them too deep, because you know what they mean and how they affect you. The first one is you have to recognize that you have a reason, and you have to be willing to tie everything to that reason and do what works for you. And when you don't, you have results that don't work in your favor. That is the hard pill. When you don't show up for you, the results are not in your favor. You have to stop looking for who you are in other people. That's another big pill to swallow. If your outside validation is really something that you have to have, guess what? You're getting in your own way. Validation can only come through you, and the only way to get that is through introspection, knowing who you are and respecting that, and being willing to live through it unapologetically. That is something you must do. 2 more pills. The first one is if you are not peaceful, you are not protecting your peace. Again, for personal accountability here. If life feels very disruptive, if things do not feel good, it means that you are allowing things in your life that are not working for you. Now, does that mean that you can control everything that comes into your awareness and your experience? Hell no, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you're not peaceful, there's a reason for it. And if you don't do anything about that feeling, that's on you, right? Maybe you need to kindly say no. Maybe you need to recognize that boundaries are behavior modifications that allow others to know how to treat you. Perhaps you need to know that you have the ability to do what you need to do for yourself. If that's the truth, you know how to protect your peace. If you don't, then you're not protecting it. And that is truly on you. The last one that is so important, and I hear it so many times. Every time I work with someone new, I often hear this, and I have to teach them pretty quickly that we do not apologize for our feelings. If you are apologizing more than necessary, if you're apologizing for what you feel, if you're apologizing for having limitations, you're wasting your time. Instead of apologizing, do something about it, right? That's the pill. Instead of putting the excuse, do something about it. If you choose not to, that's on you. As I said in the beginning, I don't care if you live your best life. We're not looking at the result here. You will live your best life if you take control of your life. I want you to have the freest life, the most unburdened life, the lightest life. My job and my purpose is to show you that it's okay to leave empty spaces in your life. It's okay to show up. It's okay to allow music and magic and surprises and evolution and be unrestricted in what is working for you. It's okay to recognize what is working against you and doing something about it. Hard pills. But the truth of all of this is only you have the power to direct what you need and want. That's what this all comes down to. How are you showing up for you? It is your fault if you will not live your life for you. So instead, it's time to shift. How can I be my best self? How can I love myself? Right? This movement of self-love being the massages and the bubble baths and all the things that I always tell you it is not, is really putting a space where one doesn't need to be. We need to remember that self-love, loving the real you, is a daily choice. It's staying on top of everything that works for you. It's seeking beauty. It's knowing that life is not always glamorous. It's knowing that you have the power to live. Forward motion, pursuit of something Great. Accept your truth. Validate yourself. Say no. Protect your peace. Stop begging. Live in a space where you get to do what you want and be you. How do we get into a space where we're living our truth, where we are no longer sitting with those pills in our throat, but instead we're able to stomach them? Grab a piece of paper. If you heard hard truths that are not working in your life, put those down. If you happen to come up with some that I did not talk about, because again, everybody is individual, put those down on your paper and decide what is your responsibility in those things. What can you do to make a change in it? What can you let go of? What can you focus on? What can you do for you? And then break it down into the smallest pieces. Use just a little bit of time. Give yourself permission to come up with a plan that actually works for you. When we live in a space where we are not active in our growth, when we're not expanding our lives, it's because we're not giving ourselves permission in a path forward. So that is how we do it. Get out of the painstaking, do the work, move forward. I come back to the question, what do you want to create? What do you want to focus on in 2024? What can you leave behind? What can you elevate? What can you do to make yourself feel most alive? When you focus on that, it becomes the essential element into getting your life together. Thank you so much for listening to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. If you're seeking daily inspiration and additional tools and tips, you can follow me on social media at Get Your Life Together Girl on Instagram, Facebook, Clapper, TikTok, and YouTube, and as well as Threads. You can also visit my website at www.getyourlifetogethergirl.com, where you'll find a blog, you'll find merch, more show notes, and more information. There's so much there for you, even free downloads. So I invite you to go there. And I would love for you to share this episode and the podcast with others that you may feel could use this information, as it helps us all grow together. If you are an Apple subscriber, please click subscribe again with the latest iOS update. It did take away subscriptions, so I hope that you'll refollow here. I can't thank you enough for being a valuable member of this community. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others.